So I'm going to be going over everything I did to refurbish this Ibanez RX-7, or at least that's what I believe it is, since it doesn't really have any markings, but from what I looked up online, it's an RX-7. I'll also be giving this guitar away, so stay tuned or skip to the end of the video to figure out how to enter there. As you can see, the sucker's in really rough shape and needs a full refurbish. So as you can see, it's completely burnt, covered up in stains, mud, tons of water damage. Body is absolutely filthy. The neck is filthy. I felt like I should have had gloves handling this thing. The fingerboard is completely dried out, covered in dirt and muck. It has lost all of its life. There's this little hole in the back of the headstock that goes all the way through at the truss rod cavity. And then the nut has been flipped around, so whoever used to own this must have been a lefty. Back of the headstock, you can see a bunch of bug spots, and for some reason the serial number is gone on this one. Back of the neck is absolutely filthy, as you can see. The whole thing is just filthy, and there's these weird 4 screws. But there's still plastic on the back of it. So we'll start with getting this nasty plastic off. I'm going to be using Dunlop polish and oils to clean this thing. It says not to spray it directly onto the body, but I'm going to go ahead and spray it right on the body because it's not like we could hurt this thing anymore. Then just cleaning this thing up first with a paper towel so I don't ruin any of my reusable wipes. Then I'm going to get this neck. And this thing cleaned up very nice, as you can see. Onto the side. And now we're going to start cleaning up the top. The guy who brought me this guitar said he found it and this First Act acoustic. He brought them into the shop to see what they were worth, and naturally I told him they're not really worth anything. And he's not a guitar player, so rather than throw them out, he gave them to me. And I decided this would be a great opportunity to, really test out how good my refurbing skills are. And then to also give it away to somebody, because it's really something I don't need. And I also don't really feel like I could sell it in the condition it's in. Making sure to get good and around the pick guard. I'll clean it up further once I get the pick guard off because I'm sure it's going to be nasty. And onto the top side. Going to get that edge and that belly carve real good. A few spots on the back that I missed. Then I really enjoy doing this. Normally it's good to be very sparse with the lighter fluid because it can damage the fretboard, but I don't think we're going to do much more damage, so I went pretty heavy with it. Going to do it one more time just to make sure we get all that gunk out. I'm not really sure what this does, but I've seen tons of techs do it, and it looks cool, so I did it. Now I'm going to start working on this fretboard and getting it cleaned up. First thing I'm going to do is take a little razor blade and scrape each and every fret to get all the gunk, finger juice, and everything out. Just so that when I go and oil the fingerboard, it's seeping directly into the pores of the wood and not into any gunk or dirt. Going through very thoroughly on each fret to make sure I get all the gunk out. Nice and clean. Then I'm going to run that blade across the edge of the neck to get all this loose finish that's pried up from all the damage. Same thing up here at the nut. Just making sure I'm scraping all of that old clear off. Then I'm just taking an old toothbrush and I'm making sure that I get all of the dirt and everything out of the crevices around the frets themselves. Once again, running that blade along the edge of the neck. Using some more of that Dunlop polish on the neck and headstock. This stuff really works wonders. I've used it as long as I've been playing guitar. Up next, I'm breaking loose all of these tuning keys. These were a pain just because they were set with rust. So I really had to break these loose with my pliers. Now I'm going to get these screws out of the back of these tuners so I can completely remove them. Once I get these tuning pegs removed, I'm going to finish cleaning up the headstock and get ready to start sanding all of this gunk and dirt and burn marks off, just so I can get the headstock back to being bare, plain, and clean. And since I'm doing all of this in one day, I'm not using any fine sandpaper. I'm just roughing this thing up and cleaning it up the best I can. Then I'm going to whip out my Dremel and get some of these harder to get places. And then I'm going to flip it over and remove all of the markings on the back of the headstock and get it cleaned up. Just blowing off some of that dust. Looks a whole lot better now. And now we can start livening up this fingerboard. I'm using Dunlop lemon oil. This is some of my favorite stuff to use. It really brings these things back to life. Now that we've got that dealt with, we'll break into the body, see what we're dealing with under the pick guard. Opening this thing up, it's very clean actually. Color coded nicely. Pink for the neck pickup, green for the bridge. We can find out here that it is Ibanez with all the Ibanez labeled electronics, but everything is damaged and going to need replacing, except for the pickups. So now we're going to start removing the wiring, and to do that, of course, you're going to want a soldering iron, some solder, and some flux. What I like to do is take a little bit of flux onto a toothpick or something, and then just rub it onto wherever I'm going to be removing the wires. Just because it helps for that solder to liquefy super easily. If you're not using flux, you're going to be wondering why it's not working. And I'm just carefully putting a little bit of flux on every little pole that I'm going to be hitting. Then I break out my soldering iron. And it doesn't take too long. That stuff liquefies right up, and those wires pop right out. Then I'm going to get the bridge pickup. Now that 5-way switch is free, we're going to get the tone knob. Mostly ground wires here on this guy. But all of these electronics have been completely rusted out and ruined. Here's my replacement 5-way switch. And some pots that I've stolen from another guitar. Now I'm going to get that old 5-way out. Taking those 2 screws. Now I'm going to get the knobs off for these pots. I like to put a flathead screwdriver underneath, spin the knob around and pry up, and eventually it'll just pop right off. Do the same thing here with the volume knob. Now we're going to break these little nuts loose. And now the pots are free. And then to get the 5-way switch out, we'll just pop this plastic nib off, and it'll fall right through the hole. Now we're left with just a pick guard loaded with 2 humbuckers. Now we need to get the rest of these knobs unwired here. And I'm going to reuse this tone capacitor from the guitar, and I'm going to put it onto a new tone pot. Put some flux onto this guy. Hold it with some pliers as I start getting this capacitor undone. And now that capacitor's free. Get this ground wire, and now all we're left with is a ground to the bridge and our input jack. So we'll put the new 5-way switch in. And I already have a wiring diagram here. Just cleaning and preparing these wires. I like to take and twist the tips of each wire just to make them one solid piece and easier to work with. Do the same thing with the bridge. And as you can see, I've already got my 5-way switch and my 2 tone pots already put into the pick guard, so it'll be super easy to wire this up. Just put a little bit of flux on each of my poles that I'm going to be using. And we'll start wiring these things together one by one. Doesn't matter what pattern you go in, really. just as long as they're all in the right place.
They are stuck in territory, and that's not true. Guitarists aware of their plot and some.
And whenever I'm going to use my solder, I like to dip it in my flux, just to give it a little bit of extra juice. The flux helps it stick and create stronger solder joints. I'm really new to all this, so I'm learning it all as I go. But I think I've gotten pretty good. And it's not too hard. This is a very fun and therapeutic process to go through. So if you ever find yourself, getting a cheap or broken down guitar, it's worth it to learn and figure out how to maintain these suckers. Because this thing went from a dumpster guitar to an extremely nice and playable guitar. Now that 5-way switch is wired up, I can wire the 5-way to the pots.
And the GNL has stuff that never bothered me.
You maybe and will be long enough for your guitar. Just stream the rest of the internet. Basically,
stuff that we cover on this show, whether the results be good or bad, squeezed all over this thing. Here's a donut, right? That one right there.
And with that, we officially have a loaded pick guard.
Like guard noise. A few of these people signed up for.
Everything here is wired up just as it should be.
You get 1 month for free.
A whole month for free?
You get like an 8% discount.
And now we're going to attach the loaded pick guard to the output jack and attach the bridge ground to the tone knob. And we can really see how this thing is aged. It used to be pure white. Plug it in, see if it works. She lives again. Now we'll just tuck those wires underneath there, and we'll get this thing put back together.
No, it's on spin. I know, that's what I'm saying. All right.
There are islands and stuff. There are sigils and cetera. Try that out.
And lastly, we will put a name on it. Every guitar needs a name, and I think I'll put mine on it.
She was like, Britney Spears isn't corny, but it wasn't like where she comes from first, like her child acting movies. I'm not sure, but she comes from somewhere.
I'm going to work on cleaning these markings off the back of the headstock now. I'm going to hit that with a little bit of Dunlop coconut oil, just to help it blend in a little bit more. And lastly, I'm going to get this old output jack out because it was also incredibly rusted. Just going to replace it with one I also stole from an old guitar. Output jacks are super easy, just 2 wires. And yes, you can wire a pickup directly to an output jack. No knobs, no switches or anything. And there's that new output jack. Now I'm going to start working on getting these tuners put back on and the string trees. And lastly, we're going to string it up with some fresh Diodario NYXLs. I think I put 9s on this one. Using my mechanical pencil to add a little graphite to the nut to help lubricate it from these strings. It just helps to keep the nut from being ground down by the ridges of the string. Tuning her up. Now to finally test it. Just a little bit of work. Now we're going to go over and listen to some direct audio samples that I recorded. So like I said, I'm going to be giving this guitar away to one of my viewers. All you have to do to enter is like this video, subscribe, and comment your Instagram handle down below. I'll be announcing the winner on Monday, and once that's done, I'll message you on Instagram, and we'll figure out how to get the guitar to you. But that'll do it for this video. I really appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe, and share it with a friend.